Hello there, and welcome. My name's Angie, and I wanted to share today with you some things that you might find inspirational to add to your resin for an industrial or a steampunk-esque look. I decided maybe mid-February that I wanted to try resin, and that I really liked the metal and industrial and steampunk elements. Less flowers, more metals for me. So I started collecting items, and there's basically 4 places that I picked most of these things up. That would be Home Depot's hardware section, Michael's charms section, and eBay, and finally my local dollar store, which of course was the first place I went. Can't tell you how many times I've gone to a big box store to pick up some sort of household thing, gone to the dollar store down the street and been like, oh, I could have gotten that thing here. So I try to make it my first stop. And yeah, so I just want to take you through some of the things I hope to add and get your input on whether you think they'll work and which items you like best in steampunk themed resin stuff. So let me show you. One of the first items I picked up was this pack of patinaed gears that I got from Michael's Arts and Crafts. They come in a bunch of different shapes. There's a good quantity and 2 different sizes essentially. So I like those quite a lot. And they're fairly thin metal, you can actually bend them up. To go along with those, I also picked up on another day, because that way you can use your coupon from day to day, these little green assortment of key charms. So I thought those would be pretty cool. And I liked the colors. This one's a little bit more green, these ones are a little bit more blue. I also had gotten a set of charms from Amazon that was all different shapes, and it included maybe half a dozen keys in there, so I set those together too. So now I got keys and some gears. I thought those were pretty neat. So I saw this other great YouTube video where these 2 women made these fantastic steampunk themed coasters using what they called locking washers. So I went to my local Home Depot and picked up these bad boys. They're really inexpensive for a large quantity. So I grabbed me 2 different sizes. They come in a couple different shapes. But yeah, so 50 in each little box, 1/2 inch, and this one's 5/16. A few bucks a piece. Great find there. Thank you, ladies. I'd gone to my local hardware store first to try to find some of these locking washers, and they didn't have any locking washers, but I got some of the plain ones anyway. And then when I stopped into one of the dollar stores in my neighborhood, I found this package of like rivets for jeans. And while they're not technically gears, and they say stuff on their like Fushi Classic and Classic Jean on it, I really liked the color range. It went from shiny silver down to like brass and copper. And they also came with these little, this is the back side of it, just like a nail, but it has like rings on it. I thought that created a cool alternate texture and color to these things. While I was in Home Depot, I just picked up some standard screws and bolts, thinking that if my idea is that we're seeing inside of old rickety machinery, and if it's sort of exploding, frozen in an explosion within the resin, that other parts of the machinery equipment will also be moving around. So I picked up these as well. And it was about this time I started collecting and playing with all my little pieces, right? I had this collection, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do some cool stuff like that key centered with this as a starburst behind it, maybe some elements. And I got one of those, jeans rivets and create some dimension. And I liked all of this together. When I started messing around with different configurations and stuff, like that looks cool, right? But I found that my color palette was a little limited. I liked the silver and the blue. I also really liked what this one added. And the idea of mixed metal coloring really appealed to me. So from Michael's, I actually went and picked up, at first, these are the colors I figured might be the background colors of the charms or pendants or maybe layers in the resin. But I went back another day, one of their buy one, get one 50% off or something, and picked up some metallics as well. Because I figured I've got 50 of these little things. If it sticks to the shiny metal, I might be able to paint some alternative colors. So I really like this, but it's worm penny. It's like a dark copper, and I think this is more similar to this, which I like a lot. So I figured I would take some of these items that are very shiny and bright and try to gnarl them up a bit with a Venetian gold and a worm penny and a copper and some black and red, so I could get some more variety that way. So I was pretty excited about that. And while I was waiting for time frame and opportunity to do these things, I started going through my hardware toolbox and found some odds and ends that might be cool to add in. So I got some gnarled up old nails, and I got this chain. It's supposed to be a pull chain that didn't work for the purpose it was bought for. I thought that might be cool to be spiraled in there. So it's a bit bright colored. You might add some cool elements. And then I pulled out from that same toolbox some wires that I got. These I had bought for a project back when I was in school. I've just had them. I use them sometimes. But I thought maybe I could make little springs out of them. And that might be a cool element. Curve a spring, make those coppery next to the gold and the silver and the green. Add yet another color into the mixed metal look of it. Finally, I started getting in some of my eBay buys. So I found some great deals on eBay, but they do take some time to come in. One of them, this was actually not that long. It was a US seller, and these are copper spirals, and I thought these are gonna look absolutely amazing. I really make whatever it is I add these to unique and special. So I ended up getting 2 bags of these. I also got some little stones and beads that might be interesting to add in. These are from Michaels. These are an eBay buy. These little pearls with no holes in them, so I thought they would look cool floating in the center of the resin. This was a US seller, and I forget, maybe 20 grams of watch parts. And I love the variety of the shapes that are in there. They're super cool. Super, super cool. But the problem is they're tiny. They're like really tiny. I think the seller may have characterized it as glitter, and it's about the size of glitter. It's super, super small. So if I make really small charms, or maybe I can decorate this around some of the bigger ones, but the contrast is so big that if this is the focal point, all this cool variation of these tiny, tiny pieces, I'm afraid that they will get lost. But I got these, and then these came in from China. It's essentially the same deal, only these ones seem to be alive. These appear to actually be from real watches, pulled out from real watches, and the variety is all there, but they're also a little bit dingier. These seem to be maybe manufactured, and these were labeled as nail art or additives for nail art. These have some great gears, a little less variety, but the pieces seem to be a little bit bigger and a little bit shinier, maybe even a little bit cleaner. I think that they were a good buy. And then these ones took a while to come in, and I wasn't quite sure what I was going to get, and I was so happily surprised. This is another eBay purchase from China, and it said that there were 68 pieces. I counted them. There ended up being like 71, and there's just a fantastic. First off, the metal is very thick and nice. I think that these could hang as charms by themselves. They don't need to be encapsulated inside of the resin, but they're great variety of colors. I really like some of the tarnished and aged colors, and a fantastic variety of shapes, like from very, very little, which will be perfect for my smaller molds, to very nice and big, which can stand alone as their own charms. So I was really quite happily surprised with this. And if, you know, the things with like vendors on eBay, they come and go, but if I end up using these all, I know exactly where to get more, because these were super cool. And I think, you know, each one of these eBay items was like $1 or $2. Like, they're super inexpensive. You do have to wait 3 to 5 weeks for them to come in, but, and one mold that I ordered seems to have gotten lost, so stuff happens, but well worth it. And then finally, as I wasn't sure if my painting would work and I hadn't received these great metal gears in yet, I went ahead and also ordered in these fantastic gear and shape molds, and I ended up making 2 rounds of shapes using those silicone molds with varying degrees of success and using the paints that I showed you earlier. So with these, also has a pretty good variety of shapes. I'm probably more interested in the small ones because they can go inside the resin of whatever it is I create, and then those metal ones can be charms on the outside. Having the molds would give me an opportunity to create more variety in colors and textures if they work well. On a couple of them I tried using these duochrome powders to dust the inside of the mold prior to pouring the resin, and it worked like gangbusters. It looks beautiful and fantastic, and I think that this, in addition to this and this, like, I think those combinations are going to be super. And then finally, what I just mentioned is I picked up some duochrome pigments from eBay, and these guys, if dusted inside of those molds, I think that they'll make anything I cast in there look more metallic, which will be very cool. These ones I think are just mica powders, some purple tone, and I think those are supposed to be brown, but it looks more like a red purple. So I got some powders, because I had originally thought that I would cast a few layers of the resin with the inclusions in it, and then dust this across the back to give the back layer sort of a shimmer, or it's either these or paint in something like this shimmery acrylic. I don't know, I've got a lot of experimenting to do. But yeah, so these are the things. It's taken me about 2.5 months to collect all the different elements. Now I have a variety of stuff that I can sort of mess around with and create new and unique pieces, hopefully. Alright, so this is basically the variety of things that I picked up. What do you guys think? Is there one item that you think is super cool? Or is there something that you think is really ugly that is not going to work well no matter what I ended up using it for? Just to give you some ideas of how you can combine different things from different places, the hardware and eBay and craft stores and dollar stores, to make something new. That's the idea. Or make something of your own using the resin itself. And along those lines, this item just came in yesterday. Wanted to open it up and check it out. I was a little concerned. The package seems a little wiggly. It feels like maybe it's not a new item. Like it doesn't have its original packaging on it. Oh hey, looks like it was new after all. So this is a baking mold that I hope to use for resin. Uh-oh, I'm losing my little tiny pieces. But yeah, let's get these out of here. The plastic tabs. But yeah, so this is brand new, and I think it's going to be really helpful for me to experiment with the different combinations. And it looks like they're going to be large enough to accommodate a number of these items, which is really fantastic. I'm excited. Hopefully I get to layer up some interesting items here. And because I've got a number of molds, but none of them have this many repetitive generic shapes, and I really wanted something that had some depth so that I could create some depth, hopefully. I don't know, maybe it won't work out in the pieces. It's supposed to be eggs, but you know, I'm using them for what I want. I'm gonna end up with these sort of oblong cabochons, and then I learn how to make things out of them. I don't know. We shall see. So thanks again for joining me, and tell me your thoughts below. What you like best and what you like least. So I'm interested to know what you think about these various items. Maybe some things weren't worth it, or maybe some things you think will be extra cool. I don't know. Thanks again for clicking. I hope you found this useful. Maybe give you some creative ideas on where you can find stuff or how things can be combined. Hopefully we'll get to see some new projects out of these sometime soon. Yeah, I look forward to making stuff in this for you and letting you know how it turned out. Thanks again. Bye. Bye.